Hello and welcome to the Promised Land, a Manchester United podcast brought to you by 90 Min. I'm Scott Saunders. Today at Wembley Stadium, where Manchester United have just beaten Manchester City 2-1 in the FA Cup final on one of the greatest days in recent memory. Two academy graduates scoring both the goals to end up lifting the cup for Erik ten Hag in what could be his last game as Manchester United manager. I'm just here at Wembley. Everything's unfolded. I've just been in Erik ten Hag's press conference, which was absolutely popping off. You have to go and watch it. He came out swinging, let's just say that. But it's been a great day for United. Difficult season, difficult week, really, in the lead up to this, with everything that's broken around the manager's future in the last 24, 48 hours. But yeah, I just thought to say initially, apologies. Rob and I have not been able to make it work with recording this week, but given it is the last week of the season and given United have just won the FA Cup, I thought it would be a good idea to just jump on and do something myself from Wembley Stadium, just because there's so much going on. And obviously it's been a big, massive victory and a great end of the season for Manchester United, really, with, I think everybody, to a man, really, really, really worked their socks off today, played well. The team was set up in the right way. They took their chances. They even survived a clanger from Andre Onana and managed to hold on with the right commitment, with a bunch of players who were actually fit. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 players missing today. We got to see Terrell Malacia, actually. Hasn't been seen for essentially a year, but he was here today and got to join in the celebrations as well. But yeah, I just wanted to polish off or put a bookend on the end of the season, really. But I'm sure we'll be back soon with plenty more, because there's going to be a lot happening. We still await more news on whether Ineos will decide to sack Erik ten Hag or not. The way that it's looking, I mean, Sir Jim Ratcliffe in the mix zone essentially turned away from a question about Ten Hag's future. But we will see. We have to wait for an official communication from Man United when it comes. Erik ten Hag himself doesn't know. And like I say, you have to go and watch that press conference that he just sat in, and he literally came out swinging against a bunch of journalists, and it was quite interesting to see. But yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to see clips or see quotes on your social media timelines, but try and dig up the main interview if you can. Anyway, right. Please subscribe to our audio show on Apple and Spotify and give us a 5-star review as well. Watch us on YouTube, where you can like the stream, subscribe and leave a comment and hit the notification bell so you never miss a show. Follow us on social as well at @_Scott Saunders on X, IG and TikTok, @_Rob_B on X and YouTube, and at TPL MUFC on X as well. Apologies. I've never done a podcast myself, so it's a little bit weird. I'm having to ramble on, and I don't know how long I'm going to go for, 15, 20 minutes, we'll see. But I just felt like we had to do something and reflect on what's happened today. So what I'll do is I will talk about the game itself to start with, run through it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the manager as well, because it has to be addressed. It is it's a very weird situation now. It's Erik ten Hag, if anything, has put the new owners in a very, very difficult position, and full credit to him for that. You guys know, if you've been listening to the podcast or watching the podcast for however long it's been a few years now, that I have to a point back ten Hag to the hilt, really. And I know I've got a lot of criticism for it, but I feel like today was great vindication for him. He had his first choice centre-back pairing together for the last time. Rafa Varane, that was his last game, and what a way to bow out. He will leave on a free transfer. We'll see where he goes next. But Ten Hag got his tactics spot on today, and I will come to that now, actually, I think, because he's talked all season about not having enough fit players, and he said it post-match here as well, and how much it affects what he wants to do. But I think today was always about United just getting the job done against City, setting up in the right way to be able to nullify what they're so good at, and hit them where I don't know whether they're particularly weak on the counter-attack, but United have had joy in the past under Ollie, and other teams have beaten them playing the way that United did today. But Ten Hag set them up to absorb a lot of pressure. And the first goal comes around, obviously, through a mistake from Josko Guardiola and Ortega in the City goal. And obviously the header goes over Ortega's head and Garnacho just taps it into an empty net. But it was quite clearly a tactic throughout the day for United to sit in, soak up some pressure, and then fire it forward. Like Bruno Fernandes in particular, who I thought was absolutely amazing, by the way. I thought he had a brilliant game. The assist for the second goal was just fantastic. You could see what he was trying to do. He gets criticised a lot for, lumping the ball forward a little bit too much and not being too careful with his passing. But that's the risk that he takes in his game. I could spot it from early on, really. He was looking for that ball through to Marcus Rashford or Garnacho quite often, dropping himself in. He started as the false nine ahead of Rasmus Højlund, obviously, but there was one moment, I think, where Bruno just, without even looking, just tried to drill a ball out to the left-hand side to let Rashford race Kyle Walker. And it was quite interesting to see that was the way that United were playing. But I think Ten Hag got it right. I really do. And obviously, when you have your first-choice centre-back pairing in Licha Martinez, who was, as ever, a warrior, goes off the pitch fighting with Kyle Walker, which was just amazing to see. Really, really good value there. And Rafa Varane was an absolute rock. And that is the defensive pairing that United had throughout the majority of last season. And United kept the most clean sheets in the Premier League last season. So you have to remember that they have not had that pairing for a large chunk of this campaign and have rotated through 13, 14 centre-back pairings. It's just good in the end that today they managed to put those two on the pitch together. And it's for the last time as well. But United sat in, had a plan, but I'm maybe selling them short there because I feel like there were times in the game where they showed that they do have composure on the ball and they are able to play through teams, even the best teams. They played through City a good few times and made chances out of them. They pressed them high, and to the point where when it was 0-0, they pressed them high and nearly forced another mistake from Ortega and nearly dispossessed a City player in their own box on their own 6-yard line. So they got that right. And I think the fact that United did get the first goal really helped them in this. We just talked about it. But, what a day for Garnacho and what a day for Kobbie Mainoo as well. Named player of the match in his first ever FA Cup final. He completely continues to... We ran out of superlatives for him, really. I know I'm not alone in this, but you can really tell as soon as he was playing for the youth academy and making some noise, and even when he was drafted into the first team initially in pre-season, you could just see that he was different in a sense of just had that composure on the ball, that ability to pass it, that the game, he knows what's going to happen. He's a few steps ahead. And I think you got to see that today. And obviously, he could score a goal as well. So, yeah, the second goal was just... I couldn't believe it. I've got to be honest. The second goal was just so well worked. United really picked City off. I think it was Rashford who flashed the ball over to the right side. And then eventually United work it through to Bruno Fernandes in the middle. And he was scanning the entire time to see where Kobbie Mainoo was. And obviously, without looking, slots in the pass and Mainoo slots it into the far corner. And United 2-0 up in an FA Cup final against Man City. I'm not sure how many people would have expected that before kickoff, but for what it's worth, I actually did think United would win today, and you can actually see that in video form. I did predict it a few days ago, and I even predicted a 2-1 win for United as well, although after extra time is what I thought would happen. But delightful result. United could have had more as well. City obviously had their chances, had their dominance. United rode their luck. Erling Haaland hit the post or the crossbar, and there was a big chance that they should have scored through. I think it was Julian Alvarez who just sent a shot wide. But overall, United were great value today. I think the way that Ten Hag developed the game plan and set his team out to play They were very compact. They didn't give too much away. Yeah, always going to give chances away against City because they are just that good. But United needed a bit of luck today, and they got it. But I think that's not the reason why they won. We can all look at that performance today and think United deserve to win. And I even think neutrals can say United deserve to win. City might have been off it. Pep has admitted his tactics in the first half were wrong in his post-match. So Erik Ten Hag got the better of Pep Guardiola in an FA Cup final, tactically, and lifted the trophy in the end as well. So just great day all round for Manchester United. And look, they even ran through. Like we've been talking about it all season, how United can get into a good position, yet concede right after half-time or concede a goal and then essentially collapse and give another goal away straight away. It's been quite a frustrating thing to watch. Obviously, the mentality has been called into question of all the players on the pitch, but this is a big stage. This is a very, very big stage, and they managed to hold on even after that clanger from Andre Onana. So it's it's funny actually because kind of summed up Onana's season. His distribution was quite good today. He was solid for most of the time, and then just out of nowhere comes a clanger. And I hope he can eradicate those from his game because there will be days where United don't survive those. But today, fortunately, today they managed to get through it. And just quick shout out as well. The fans were absolutely fantastic. You could feel the energy lift as well in both the fans and the players after the first goal went in. You could feel the confidence, and that's something United have really been playing without for a large chunk of the season. But what a treat it was for them in the sun today. They're just to this side of me. If you're watching the podcast, I'm just pointing to my right hand side. Look, it's been a tough season for everyone. It really has. And I'm really glad for those fans who traveled down after the season that United have had, that they finally had something to enjoy and to shout about, because that was a performance, a real performance. And Scott McTominay, even the first thing he said in his post-match interview on the pitch, he said, big thank you to the fans. He essentially apologised for how bad the season has been, but best fans in the world. And United were everything about today was essentially, Onana clanger aside, perfect. And the clanger doesn't matter anyway because United end up winning. So massive day, and it's really nice to see that United have won 2 trophies in 2 seasons. Unbelievable, really. They might have finished 8th in the Premier League, but Erik Ten Hag has got them into the Europa League by winning the FA Cup. He's won the League Cup last season, finished 3rd. United finished 8th in the Premier League this season, but have managed to salvage it in a sense. When you think about it, really, if United had have missed out on top 4 and got 5th place, how bad a season would that have been considered? Yeah, not terrible, is it? United have been in that position a few times before. Obviously, the fact that they finished 8th, 8 points, I think it was, off the Champions League places, and only 3 points behind Chelsea, who finished 6th in the end, and level on points with Newcastle. What United have done today is kick Newcastle out of Europe completely, knock Chelsea into the Europa Conference League, and taken the Europa League spot themselves. So when you look back at it as a whole, I mean, the season isn't that bad, but looking into the performances and drilling into the performances, there are issues which need to be sorted out, and Erik Ten Hag talked about that in his post-match press conference as well. Let's talk about him then, shall we? Because the manager has had a hell of a lot of stick. Deservedly, I think most people would say, and even me, like, as much as I've defended him over the course of the season, the tactics that he had been playing and trying to deploy with the United team have just not been fit for purpose, whether that's the with everyone fit or not. Unfortunately, he's just had so many injury issues that have meant we've not been able to see the tactics he wanted to play in its greatest form, in its not finished form, but if you're trying to play the way that he's been playing all season with players who can't do it, then it's going to look as bad as it has. But he has shown in the last few games of the Premier League season, they finished with 2 wins, obviously, and in today's game, that he can change it up. He is a smart tactician, and he knows how to win. Now, 2 trophies in 2 seasons for him is something he can hang his hat on, but obviously the noises have been on Friday that he will be sacked regardless of this result. And today, that is a really interesting dynamic. It really is. Apologies for the pauses, by the way. I'm trying to think of how to fill time and how to fill air. I do podcasts, but usually with other people. So my producer for this show, Harry, does it each day, and fair play to him. It's a little different, but if you're enjoying it, please send me some tweets or drop in the comments and say, just reassure me a little bit. But right, anyway, back to the manager. So the news came out on Friday that from The Guardian, and the journalist who broke that story was here today as well, that Ineos have decided to sack Erik ten Hag regardless of today's result. Now, people would have said earlier this week that was the right decision. It might still be the right decision. But what Erik ten Hag has done today is salvage and prove a point to everybody that he is actually a good manager who can get the job done against the best manager in the world when it matters. And that's what he's done today. Now, we will see what happens. But the way that... Well, let me just talk about Ten Hag and how he celebrated today. You could see it meant a lot to him. You could see it meant a lot to Marcus Rashford. He's posted a picture of him with tears rolling down his face saying, "This is what this club means to me," which was nice. It feels like a lot of healing kind of has been done today, which is interesting. But, Ten Hag really needed that for himself as well as for the club, because he has had a lot of criticism throughout the season. A lot of it probably from his own making. He tried to play a certain way and it has not worked out at all. But, he lifted the trophy, threw it up a bunch of times, and really enjoyed his time on the pitch, celebrating with the fans and celebrating with the players. But he did, I implore you have to go and watch this if you can find video of it in full. They usually post it on YouTube. You have to go and watch this, because he today came out swinging and was going after people. He said at one point, when he was challenged about coming 8th in the Premier League, he said, essentially, you don't know what you're talking about, and this is why you're not a football manager, because that's not the reality. Like, we might have come 8th in the Premier League, but the injuries I've had all season means it's effectively impossible for me to achieve everything that I set out to at the start of the season, because I haven't had the players available. Now, as I said earlier, we will wait to see what Ineos do. We'll wait to see if there is an official statement. But my reading of that is the way that he spoke, what he said in his post-match press conference was, I think that everybody kind of knows it's the end. And I'm quite sad about that. I've got to say, I feel like today he proved that he is a good manager. He does have the mettle to be able to take the club into next season and possibly even beyond that as well. He's got another year on his contract. I think United even have a year's option to trigger as well. But it seemed to me that because he came out swinging so much, there is one thing he said, which I'll quote now, which has been flying around. "If they don't want me anymore, I'll go anywhere else to win trophies, like I have done all my career." And obviously we've seen that he's been linked with Bayern Munich over the past few weeks, but Vincent Kompany's getting that job. He's been linked with other positions as well, a return to Ajax, although that job's filled now as well. And 2 trophies in 2 seasons is something that even, look at how good a job Mikel Arteta has done. He's won more trophies than Mikel Arteta in 2 years. And Mikel Arteta's had 5 years at Arsenal. I know Arsenal getting a couple of second place finishes in the Premier League, but trophies matter. They really do. Trophies are what people remember, right? And Ten Hag has spent today executing a plan to win a final, and he has done that today. And if he walks away, if he ends up leaving, I don't know if it'll be mutual. I don't know if he'll be sacked. But he leaves with his reputation fixed to some degree, and that will put him in good stead for whichever job he takes up next. For what it's worth, I hope, or look, I can see the sense in it. If Erik ten Hag does go and they decide to hire a manager like Kieran McKenna, Thomas Tuchel, Mauricio Pochettino, we'll talk about those at a later date. If they do decide to make a change, then the way that the season has panned out, can you call it a wrong decision? I'm not sure. But Ten Hag has really done a great job on salvaging some of his reputation today and keeping it intact. He has a strong argument for holding on to this job because he gets it done. He gets the job done. And I don't think United, providing they can avoid as many injuries as they've had this season, I don't think United will have as bad a season as they have had this season next season if they keep Ten Hag as manager. I just don't. But obviously people have made their minds up a long time ago. The reaction to the news was quite mixed, but obviously the timing of of that report coming out and the fact that he was asked about it as well, it kind of leaves a bit of a sour taste. And no matter what you think of the manager, is that a fair way to leave? I think that's a completely fair question. The news was leaked out if that is indeed the case, but we will see what happens, and we will see where United go next, whether it's with Erik ten Hag or without him. But I suppose the big picture of the day is that United have won the FA Cup, and they have ended a really difficult season with a trophy and with a victory over one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world, and their local rivals. So Erik ten Hag has masterminded that. The players have executed that, and it's nice to end up on a high, so you don't have to go back, and we don't have to all live throughout the summer thinking, how bad is next season going to be? Instead, we can go out with the memory of winning the FA Cup, and it's a nice end to the season. Let's just say that. I do feel that Erik ten Hag has been. I've always been pro Ten Hag. I've always said he deserves more time. I've always said he can get the job done. And I'm not sure this is the right time for him to go out, but also you can't really argue with it if this decision is made. But what it has done is put a hell of a lot of pressure on the people making that decision to get the next managerial job and appointment absolutely spot on and right. I'll just say now, if Erik ten Hag does leave, really, really wish him all the best in wherever he goes next, because I think he is very talented. He can play different ways. What's killed him in the end is the fact that he tried to play a certain way with players who weren't fit for it, and it ended up not working, and it might not be enough. Even today, might not be enough to keep his job if you believe the reports that have been put out there anyway. But I've been going on long enough now, so what I'll do is say goodbye and say subscribe to our audio show on Apple and Spotify and give us a 5-star review, and watch us on YouTube, where you can like the stream, subscribe, and leave a comment and hit the notification bell so you never miss a show as well. Like, I apologize because it's been me on my own at Wembley Stadium, but I had to say something. I really had to, because it's been a really good day for Man United. We'll see what happens next. That's been the Promised Land podcast. So I really appreciate you listening, everyone. Please drop a comment and enjoy the fact that United, I think it's 13 times now that they've won the FA Cup. So let's enjoy the summer knowing that it's ended on a high. Thanks for everyone for listening or for watching, and I'll see you next time.